The story of the Ballista paints a terrifying picture, but it was just an everyday weapon employed during the medieval era where war and violence was expected. It's similar to a giant crossbow that works by using tension. I do like this siege weapon, and today we will see how it can be used to inspire your fantasy setting. Let's get into it. Hi guys, my name is Jesper and welcome to the Fane of Fantasy. This channel is all about giving you inspiration to master your craft and create fantasy that will truly immerse your audience. The Ballista was invaluable as a medieval defense weapon. It was designed to aim huge wooden ironclad darts or arrows along a flat trajectory which were powered by twisted skeins of rope or hair. The force of the missiles launched from the Ballista was designed to have great penetration, and they were so powerful that it would skewer several men at once. It really didn't matter if these men were wearing any armor or not. Against stone walls, the Ballista was quite useless, I would say, so it was indeed used in the capacity of a defense weapon. Not to mention that these machines of war was quite heavy and with close to 100 kilos. It wasn't something that you easily carried around the battlefield, so they suited better from atop the castle walls. From here though, they were quite accurate and they could hurl 60-pound weights up to 500 yards. That is pretty scary stuff if you were on the receiving end. The word ballista is derived from the Greek word, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but I think it's supposed to be ballistis, which means to throw. This war engine is believed to have been invented by the Greeks and then later on modified by the Romans in 400 BC. It looks somewhat like a large frame crossbow, but the mechanism for propulsion was quite different. Here, two torsion springs mounted in the frame and wound in opposite direction, each retracted a resilient throwing arm. A rope similar to a bowstring connected the two throwing arms, and this rope was mechanically retracted into firing position. The throwing arms of the Ballista were originally engineered using fused lengths of wood and animal sinew. The result was a strong but lightweight resilient arm, but eventually the manufacturing subtleties were lost in time, so in fact, today we're not completely sure how these war machines were constructed back in the day. The one inherent weakness of the Ballista was the torsion spring itself. When new, properly crafted springs were used during the daytime in mild weather, the weapon worked perfectly as designed. However, rainy weather, humid air, or even just a morning dew could negatively affect the performance of the springs. That said, there was a reason why I said that it was a feared weapon in the introduction to this video. Because when all worked as intended, it could release up to 1,000 missiles in one day. Just imagine what that would look like on the ancient battlefield. There wouldn't just be one of these things, would there? What if you had 10 ballistas? That's 10,000 huge arrows coming right at you in this one battle. And remember the video where I talked about how to write fight scenes and how the battle in this time usually took place over the course of a single day? You see how having the Ballista on your side could wreak total havoc on the enemy line. And if that's not enough to convince you, then consider the intimidating bolts it's firing. These javelins could weigh up to 10 pounds and might be 4 to 6 feet long. Do you remember, I should say, when they used a ballista to shoot at the dragon Smaug in the movie The Hobbit? It is just such an awesome weapon. In fact, I decided to include a ballista myself in the second book of the Keystone Bone trilogy, and it has a very important role to play towards the end of the novel. Alright, so in Europe the ballista reached England in 1216 during the siege of Dover. Louis the Dauphin, probably another mispronunciation there, so sorry, I always end up in these situations, I don't know why. Well, Louis of France then, let's just call him that. He crossed the canal with a large force and laid siege to Dover Castle with the use of the ballista. I personally still don't believe it a very effective siege weapon, but it would certainly have a role to play as at least intimidation. Are you aware of situations where the ballista could be put to great use as a siege weapon? I don't know. Let the rest of us know in the comment section below. It could also be that you just have a nice idea for the use of a ballista, one that you made up yourself, and such things is of course absolutely welcome too. I think the ballista is a very cool weapon. If you do too, then like this video by hitting the like button below, and do share this video with a friend too. But we're not quite done yet. We still have to come up with a cool idea that you can steal for your fantasy setting. I want to use an interesting story that I found as the stepping stone for this idea of ours. You know, Greek and Roman women would grow long hair as a patriotic gesture, and it would thus be used in building of a new ballista, or for the string for it, you know. What if we centered our idea around this? Perhaps the hair is taken from a powerful sorceress or witch whose entire body is ripped with magic. Put on the ballista, the hair will give it capabilities beyond measure. I quite like that, and since there is a limit to how fast this sorceress or witch can actually grow more hair, there won't all of a sudden be a ton of these special ballistas in your fantasy setting, so that's quite good. Or what if the sorceress or witch is an involuntary donor? Wouldn't that crank up the tension? If you want to make it even cooler, you could have your ballista shoot Greek fire. Remember the video where we talked about how devastating a weapon Greek fire really was? I know I tend to go really sinister and dark with all this stuff, but hey, what can you do? I like it. I have completed my Twitter for Authors book by now, and it has gone off to the editor. It leaves me in a position where I can enjoy the sun while he's working. Isn't that a wonderful situation to be in? If you're interested in the Keystone Bone trilogy, you can visit my website from where there are links to all the global distributors. The books are also available in paperback if you prefer that. You just need to go via Amazon. And if book 2 is not there in paperback just yet when you watch this, just check back in a little while and it will be there. If this is your first time watching, do make sure to subscribe for new videos every single week. I should also mention that you can support the channel on Patreon. There is a link right here on the screen and also in the description field below. $1 a month will help keep the channel going, and it's cheaper than a pair of used sandals. Stay safe out there and see you next Monday.